Nope. Dang it.
What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
Oh, somebody kill me, please!
You suck!
What does that mean?
It doesn't mean anything.
What's up, everybody? PR and VR. So when I did the original tips and tricks video, I had always planned to follow up with it. And then life started lifing with the surgery, the move, the job, everything that was going on. It kind of fell on the back burner. So here are 5 more tips and tricks that you may or may not know for Hard Bullet. All right, first thing, let's talk about weapon skins and what's required to unlock them, because they're not all the same. All right, so if you're anything like me, maybe you're starting out with the pistols to unlock all the weapon skins for the pistols. Then you're gonna move on to the SMGs and then to the shotguns. Well, I decided to jump into the shotguns. And maybe about an hour into giving people facelifts, I began to realize something, that not all unlocks are the same. So the snake teaser requires you to take people's limbs. And the same is true for several other shotguns in the category. And some don't even have skins altogether. So the moral of the story is, if you're gonna work on weapon skins, look at what it takes to actually unlock them, or if there's even a weapon skin available. And with that, let's talk about quicker shotgun reloads. First things first, always be familiar with what shotgun you're using and how it gets loaded to begin with. So the Cayuga 37, for instance, the first time I played around with this shotgun in an actual level, I had no idea how to actually load this shotgun. It took me a minute. If it wasn't for the fact that the main character is basically a bullet sponge, I'd be past tense. So if you're unfamiliar with shotguns, the first thing you need to know is the slide's going to be back. Ejection port's going to be open. You have to load a round into the ejection port first, slide the pump forward, and then put shells into the magazine tube. This shotgun, there really is no fast way to reload it unless you have a round ready to go. So with shotguns like these, the only real trick to these is knowing how many shells they take and knowing when you're going to be empty and having that shell ready to drop into the port once it's empty. The other solution, which is probably a better one, is carry about 6 of these on you. That is, of course, if your goal is to try to unlock the skins. Next is everyone's least favorite party favor, the snake teaser, which I'm not even going to touch that name. That's a terrible name for a gun or any gun. This runs right alongside the pepper box. It's probably one of the least favorite guns you're going to encounter in the game. In fact, those two probably play D&D together. The fastest way to reload this gun is to fire, open the ejection port, drop a shell in, close the ejection port with the button, unless you're a purist and you absolutely feel like you gotta use your wrist in order to close it. By the way, guys, this trick also works with the sawed-off, so just get used to always having a pair of shells in your hand. Also, good thing to know, guys, is that if you're carrying multiples of the same weapon, you share the shells across all your guns. The only difference is whatever's left inside the barrel. Also, guys, a quick bonus tip. If you're grabbing an opponent and slamming their head against the wall, you're not really doing anything to them. This is unfortunate because you think it would. In fact, I'm pretty sure you're actually hurting them more just by grabbing. I'll have to look deeper into that, and I'm hoping I'm wrong, but really, I don't think you're doing any damage. Another quick tip, guys. Any pistol that has a slide on it, you don't actually have to manually rack the next bullet in. So the way the game does it is you can slap a magazine in and you can just pull the trigger and it acts as a slide release, allowing the next round to be chambered for you. This works again with all slide styles, so the Desert Eagle, you name it, they all do it, with the exception obviously of the revolvers. Speaking of revolvers, so most revolvers will eject all the bullets once you open the cylinder, with the exception of the pepper box and the long iron, of course. Those are single and you have to pull the trigger, of course, like I covered in the last video. However, the iron, this beautiful puppy right here, you fire a couple rounds off and you'll still have a couple of bench warmers eager to get in the game. Okay, so if you're anything like me, you look for anything and everything in your environment that you can use as a weapon. The problem is, not everything hits the same. So there are some items that will actually do 0 damage. One of the stages, I picked up a water can, not even the fuel can that explodes, the water can. And I was wailing on a guy, and I must have been wailing on him forever for him to not even get hurt. So I ran this little test to see what can and what can't hurt. And what I can tell you is, if it spawns in, most likely you can hurt them with it. I'm beating this guy with a pillow.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America.
And despite the fact that he's all bruised up, he literally didn't go down. Not from the pillow anymore. All melee weapons can be thrown. Obviously, some work better than others. And depending on the range, some stick, some won't. The pencil, for instance, is one of those weapons where it's kind of hit or miss, but I've never been able to get it to stick into wood, not by throwing. The comma, or the sickle, is another weapon that I was never able to get to stick, no matter how many times I threw it. Now, when I did this test, I did do it with the target board. There could be a difference throwing it at an actual enemy. I found that swords work the best being thrown underhand. You can throw them overhand. They just tend to be a whole lot more iffy, and they aren't always guaranteed to stick. So keep that in mind when throwing swords overhand. The firefighter's axe works beautifully, and it can be thrown one-handed as well. The javelin, or whatever you call that thing, the shovel, the pitchfork, and the crowbar can all be thrown as well. Crowbar can be thrown both ways. The trench shovel is another one of those items that gave me a lot of trouble throwing. It's not to say it won't stick. It does stick. Just like the comma will stick. It's just a matter of how it's thrown and what it's hitting. The spear and the naginata, or polearm, whichever you prefer to call it, they can be thrown overhand, underhand, in slow motion. They seem to be really good, really accurate. Outside of slow motion is a completely different story. Trying to throw the spear or the naginata or polearm outside of slow motion feels practically impossible. You can throw it underhand, no problem, but trying to throw it overhand, you pretty much have to release it even before you move your hand in order to accurately get it to throw outside of slow motion. So if you're planning to throw one outside of slow motion, either throw it underhand or from the side. So a climb gym was also added into the sandbox mode. Now here's why I'm excited about the climbing feature. Not just because you're climbing around like you do in most games, but honestly, it's letting you know what to expect in the upcoming roguelite. Now, back in October 2024 on Steam, the developers had announced that they had intended to create a roguelite. And to me, for them to start adding the climbing features now tells us that we're just that much closer. Not only that, what you're seeing is what you can probably expect in the actual missions. Plus, at time of recording, guys, they released a whole new sandbox level called the Rooftops. Now, you can take a little zip line tour of the level and see everything it has to offer. What I can tell you is this stage definitely has parkour elements to it, and you can do all the normal things you would typically do in the sandbox levels. In addition to that, they got an area where you can do welding with zero gravity, and that's fun. I'm not going to spoil it or spend too much time on this, mainly because this video is pretty long. But that's really all I got for you guys. If you like what I'm doing, please like, share, subscribe. Also, bonus tip, since you decided to stick around this long, these spray paint or WD-40 cans, yeah, they explode. I didn't know that. Now, some of you may have already been onto this. This is new to me, and man, do I got plans. All right, it's about enough of that, guys. Go seize the day.